team, keep it clean, mark those calendars because we got a big schedule update for our Baltimore Ravens, and we're going to talk about the implications that this schedule update could have on our upcoming game against the Browns. We're about to get right into it. Before we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn the notifications on. As of right here, right now, as of this recording, we are 66 subscribers away from 80K. It's crazy. It's crazy. It really is great. We like right there. Is today gonna be the day? I don't know. We'll see. But I appreciate y'all so much. I really do. Make sure you leave a like on the video because it helps out the channel a ton. And let's get straight into it. So as we know, with the last week of the regular season, the NFL, they schedule who you play, but they don't schedule when you're gonna play because they want to wait for all the possible playoff implications. They want the games with the most on the line to happen later on in the week, like on Sunday night, the late games on Sunday. And they want to knock the games that don't really mean too much. They want to knock those out the way early. And that's exactly what's happening with the Baltimore Ravens and the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cincinnati Bengals. They like, look, the AFC North, the Ravens are in the lead, and it's two ways for them to win the AFC North. That game is cool, but it doesn't have major implications on much of anything. So you know what? Let's have them Baltimore Ravens play first. So the Baltimore Ravens are playing this Saturday at 4:30 against the Cleveland Browns at the crib. Now, which quarterback they're going to be going up against, whether it's DTR or it's Jameis Winston, that's to be determined. But whoever they play, just take care of business. And I know I was talking to my guy yesterday about this. He's like, oh, we probably ain't going to play DTR. We probably going to play Jameis Winston. I was like, well, okay, that's cool. Because when we played Jameis Winston before, we still had Eddy Jackson. So that lets you know that this was a completely different defense that Jameis Winston went up against. But I would be more than confident against either one of those two quarterbacks, whoever the Baltimore Ravens got to go up against. Now, for Baltimore Ravens, the stakes in this game, just a reminder, if Baltimore Ravens win against the Cleveland Browns, they win the AFC North officially. That would be a wrap. And they will get the number 3 seed officially. That would be a wrap. Now, if they were to lose, and I don't expect it to happen, but we still got to talk about all the possible scenarios. If they were to lose, then that would open up the door for the Steelers to get the AFC North because the Baltimore Ravens and the Steelers, their record would be tied at that point, and the Steelers would have the tiebreaker when it came to head-to-head record and record against common opponents or something like. If Ravens and Steelers got the same record, then Steelers would win the division. Now, for the Baltimore Ravens, I think the NFL, they were slick with this one because I think they were like, you know what? And I ain't mad at it because I get it. It's business. I think the NFL was like, look, if we put Bengals and Steelers before Ravens and Browns, then say the Steelers could play their starters, and the Bengals would, of course, play their starters because Bengals are still fighting for a playoff spot. But if they put Bengals and Steelers before Ravens and Browns, and say, for instance, the Steelers lost. If the Steelers lost that game, then the Baltimore Ravens and their starters, they would have nothing to play for. They would not need to be in the game at all because the AFC North, it would already be determined. It would already be done. And so I think this is the NFL's way of saying, hey, we want to see that Ravens offense. We want to see that Ravens team one last time in the regular season. We want to see some Lamar Jackson one more time in the regular season before it's all said and done. But get this. I think this is also, and this benefits the Ravens in my opinion, Lamar Jackson specifically. I think this is the NFL saying, hey, Lamar, let's see it again. Let you put on one last show for the NFL world to see because these MVP races, the MVP debate, it's as hot as it's ever been. It really is. I've told you, I ain't never seen nothing like this before when it's come to an MVP race, just the back and forth just between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Now, I did see somebody make an interesting point when it came to the MVP race. They were like, oh, well, if the Bengals get into the playoffs, and you see everything that Joe Burrow's doing, shouldn't he be considered an MVP candidate? And then that made me think for a couple of seconds. I said, oh, whoa, that could be so. But then somebody cleared my thinking very fast. And it was a Ravens fan, by the way. But they said, oh, but Lamar Jackson, he went against Joe Burrow twice this year. And what was the outcome of those games? And then I said, oh, okay, well, never mind. Forget it. Joe Burrow, yeah, you're nice. You could play, you could ball out, you one of them guys, but go ahead and sit down for this one. Leave this one up to Mr. Lamar Jackson. That's a really good point. And then when you think about, again, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, obviously Lamar Jackson, he got all the numbers and whatnot. Josh Allen, he got the record. He got the 2 seed. Lamar Jackson got the 3. So they're right there next to each other. But Josh Allen does have the regular season record. So he got that. And that does have implications on the MVP. But you compare all their numbers together, and the numbers are not really comparable. Lamar got him on everything. Josh Allen got him on rushing touchdowns. And he got a bunch of little tush pushes and whatnot. But, hey, he got him, so that's cool. But then you look at head-to-head, because that's something that determined it for Lamar Jackson last year, because some of the candidates that Lamar Jackson was going up against last year when it came to MVP, it was Tyreek Hill, head-to-head with the Dolphins. You saw how that went. It was Brock Purdy. It was Christian McCaffrey, head-to-head with them 49ers. Well, you saw how that went. This year, obviously, Josh Allen has been a big name in MVP conversations. A lot of people have loved to say, oh, it's over, it's a wrap, it's done. Josh Allen got everything. You think about head-to-head, even though a lot of people like to forget about this game. And Lamar, 35-10. Now with Josh Allen, I know they're like, hey, he beat both best teams in both conferences. He beat the number 1 team in both conferences with the Chiefs and the Lions. And those are some really big games. They certainly were. But this whole MVP race is crazy. But again, back to the schedule. I do think this is NFL's way of saying, hey, we want to see Lamar Jackson make this is last effort, last push for MVP. Let's see if he makes his case. And I think that could benefit the Baltimore Ravens in that way. Now, when you think about the Bengals and the Steelers game, because that game is going to have Ravens are Saturday at 4:30. Bengals and Steelers are Saturday at 8. So they will obviously know what happens, the outcome of the Baltimore Ravens and Cleveland Browns game from early on, and that can determine a lot. Bengals are obviously fighting for their playoff lives right now. But the Steelers, a lot of people are feeling like, oh, the Steelers, if they know the outcome of the Ravens game, then they could just rest their starters. They could be like, no, you know what? Starters, don't even play. Let's just rest up, get ready for the playoffs. We already in the playoffs. But the Steelers do have something to play for, because if they were to lose, then they would actually play the Ravens in the playoffs in M&T Bank Stadium. And you remember that last game? I don't think that's something that the Pittsburgh Steelers really want to do. So if they were to win the game against the Bengals, then that will set them up to play the Houston Texans, who have just been looking all kinds of bad recently. So, yeah, so Steelers still do got something to play for. Like, while they are officially in the playoffs, they got, I don't want to say they have less to play for than the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the stakes are obviously way higher for the Bengals than they are for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because the Steelers are in. So they're set regardless. But this game determines who their opponent could end up being in another week. So would you rather play the Houston Texans, a team that's just like, they just been terrible, all kinds of bad, they falling apart? Or would you rather play the Baltimore Ravens, a team that they've been rolling, they really know their identity right now, they've been just clicking, and they just been taking care of business in a major way? I'll let you decide. So now we reach my favorite part of these videos, where we get to feature your questions. If you would like to take part in it, you can send an email to teamkeepitclean@gmail.com. For the patrons, you can send your questions in a DM directly on Patreon. And if you would like to join them, you can go to patreon.com/Ingravenvids. Or if you want to send it in a more unique way, you can send it directly to our P.O. Box. The address is down below in the description. Team Keep It Clean, I love y'all. We got to give a special shout out to our newest Team Keep It Clean patron, my guy Thomas. And Thomas, see, this is I love that. I appreciate you becoming a Team Keep It Clean patron, but I also appreciate you being the one to kick us off. So let's hear our guy Thomas's question. He said, "Hey, Ingraven, hey, what's up, Thomas?" He said, "Been a huge fan for years, but my question is about this MVP race." Okay, let's see what he's talking about. He said, "While I love Lamar and my team, you know, whenever somebody starts, I love Lamar. Whenever they start off with that, you know something rough is coming afterwards." He said, "While I love Lamar and my team, I believe the clear favorite is Joe Burrow." Oh, whoa. He hit me with a swerve. I thought he was about to say Josh Allen. He said he's playing out of this world this year, and with an inadequate defense, keeping them in the playoff picture. Let Burrow take the MVP. We want the Super Bowl. I'm sure Lamar would much rather that Super Bowl MVP anyway. Yeah, I'm sure he would. I'm sure we all would. But I want it all. Why? I don't want the NFL. And there's been a nasty conversation. Even Tony Romo, he brought it out the other day. We've been seeing a lot of people talk about it. We've been hearing about voters fatigue when it comes to Lamar Jackson and MVP race. But Tony Romo, he said it yesterday. He was like, "Oh yeah, they'll probably." He said, "I think it's tied, but they'll probably give it to Josh Allen because Lamar got 2 already." Yeah, no, this not elementary school. Where people like, you gotta, don't feel bad. No. This should not be like, I saw somebody say this should not be the MVP award. No, it needs to be who is the most valuable player. Not, Lamar got 2 already. He don't need it. No, that's weak, man. No, don't do that. And as far as Joe Burrow, like we mentioned earlier, see, I guess he probably saw some of the same stuff I said when people started talking about Joe Burrow as a possible MVP. He was like, Thomas was like, okay. But what happened when Lamar went against Joe Burrow? And it ain't like, Lamar went against Joe Burrow and Lamar had lockdown defense. No. When the Ravens went against the Bengals both times, that was when that defense was still big yikes, a huge yikes. And look what happened. Next question came from another newer team, Keep It Clean Patient, my guy Stephon. He said, "Hey, I just wanted to send a shout out, been a fan, and I really appreciate your content on all Ravens." Appreciate that, Stephon. He said, "My only question is, do you think that ROC Todd will leave next year? Just wondering, keep doing your thing and go Ravens." Appreciate that, my friend. I think if he wants to, I think he will. I think he'll have an opportunity. Obviously, there are a few jobs that are open right now, like the Jets job, the Raiders job could come open, the Patriots job could come open, and I know there's some more jobs that are available. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but more will end up opening up. So I think if Todd Monken wants to leave, if he wants to be a head coach, then I think he'll certainly get that opportunity. I know a lot of people disagree, but I think when you look at what Todd Monken's done with these Baltimore Ravens and done with their offense and just help take them to another level, then why not? Why wouldn't he? Now, again, I do get that Lamar Jackson, he is 101. So just because Todd Monken helped take this offense to another level, it ain't a bunch of Lamar Jacksons just walking around out there. It ain't a bunch of Lamar Jacksons in no draft. It ain't a bunch of Lamar Jacksons that's free agent, just quarterbacks. Period. It's one Lamar Jackson, that's it. So that would be something to consider as well. While Todd Monken has had a positive impact on Lamar Jackson has also had a positive impact on Todd Monken. So I wonder if people could feel like, could we have an offense like that if we don't have a quarterback like him? And he also said, "Oh yeah, you said my name right the first time, Stephon, the cool Urkel." Okay, hey, shout out to Family Matters, man. Next question came from my dog, Eddy K. He said, "Hey, thanks for creating this community." No, thank you for being a part of it. You ain't got to thank me for nothing. I appreciate y'all, man, because y'all make this what it is. Y'all make Team Keep It Clean what it is. Seriously, y'all really, really do, man. He said, "Feels good to be a part of something positive." Now, does Ardarius Washington remind you of Tavon Young at all? I guess a gritty cornerback, smaller frame, but gritty, not afraid, could play multiple positions. So I guess in a ways, yes, but in other ways, no, but not. And Tavon Young, he would make some impact plays when he was healthy. So I guess I can see sort of a comparison when it came to Tavon Young, but still, yes and no all at the same time. Next question came from my guy Mar, and he said, "Ravens get to avenge all the past ghosts. They lost to the Chargers in the wild card. They play the Chargers in the wild card. Possibly. We'll see." He said they lost to the Bills in the divisional. Bills will be the divisional in this playoffs. Okay, that's a possibility too. Then he said they lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, and we will play the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Hey, that could all certainly go down. That's a real possibility, man. Next question came from my guy Derrick. He said, "Ingravenvids, man, I'm kind of nervous about the playoffs for the Ravens, man. If the playoffs were to end today, we'll be facing the Chargers, the team that started the Lamar bad record in the playoffs. Okay, we get past them, we would have to face the Bills again. Concerns, we mopped them that week 35-10, but it was a team we lost to last time we faced them in January, and it wasn't pretty at all. We know it will be a cold weather game, and Lamar is not a cold weather guy. Josh Allen is a different quarterback in January. Just like, hold up, did we not see wasn't the Ravens and Steelers game in cold weather? I believe that it was. Now the Texans game, that That don't really count. But the Ravens and Steelers, I believe there was some pretty cold weather, and it was a little windy too. But anyway, he said, Allen is a different QB in January, just like our guy, Mr. State Farm, is. For me, it's not the fear of not getting to the Super Bowl, but the rematch with the Chiefs getting to the AFC Championship again. The Chargers and the Bills, I fear in January, man. Lamar gets these slow starts all the time. If he plays Lamar ball, we will win. Ingraven, I hope Lamar's mom has a deep talk with him and says, son, play your game. Pass when you can and run when you have to. It's that simple, Ingraven. I think it has been. Somebody, I forgot who it was, but somebody mentioned, they said, ever since Lamar Jackson mom cussed him out, that boy ain't lost a game. And like, he really ain't lost no game. They've been taking care of business in major ways against these teams. So hey, shout out to Miss Felicia. Anyway, she said it's like he doesn't care about winning, but rather what his critics think. Lamar Jackson needs to adopt the LeBron James and Floyd Mayweather. I don't care if you don't like my style of play or fighting. I want the dub. He needs to realize his haters and critics want him to fail. They want Lamar Demetrius Jackson to fail. So why listen to your boos if you know no matter what you do, they're still going to dislike you instead? Appreciate all of your fans in purple and black and your Louisville fans. No matter what they're going to like, no matter what you do, some of them are not going to like you. And no matter what you do, those fans are going to like you. Tom Brady hardly cared about being a stat king when going up against Peyton Manning, but he always got the wins. He could throw for $160, 1 or 2 touchdowns, and let his running back do the rest. Peyton tried to play hero ball and wanted the stats. That's why so many of their meetings are in Tom's favor. Graven, what are your thoughts? What are we going to have to do to win out? I know we have to take care of those Browns. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's the same thing every year. We just play. He got to just play his game. Keep doing what he's been doing, especially in these recent games against the Giants and the Steelers and the Texans. Play your ball, play your style, do your thing, because your style, it works. Lamar can do everything. He can be a pocket passer. I think this season he got like the highest rating from the pocket. I'm 99% sure too he got the highest passer rating outside the pocket as well. So Lamar can do it all. Obviously he can make every single throw. He can make every single run. But just play winning football. Something that we've been saying for years, especially when we had the conversation about the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs. Like, if, say, for instance, Lamar doesn't have the craziest numbers in the playoffs. Say, for instance, he threw for $160, 1 touchdown, and say Derrick Henry got 2 touchdowns on the ground, something like, but the Ravens won. Say the next game, the same thing. Say even in the Super Bowl, say Lamar Jackson threw for 2 touchdowns, maybe ran for 1. Derrick Henry got a couple touchdowns. Maybe the Ravens get a pick 6 or something. Say, for instance, his numbers ain't the craziest in the playoffs, but they win. Nobody can ever take that away from you. The fact that you won. Nobody can. No matter if it's an ugly game, no matter if it's a pretty game, and we love them pretty wins especially, but nobody would ever be able to remove the fact that you won that playoff game against whatever the opponent was, whether it's a wild card game, divisional, AFC championship, and then, of course, the Super Bowl. So just win. That's it. Win. Do what you got to do to win. And the Baltimore Ravens, they certainly going to do that. He also said, I'm just nervous, man. I looked this up. I'm always with LJ no matter what, but I was doing my research, and Lamar is number 18 on the list of worst playoff quarterbacks. Is that concerning to you at all? No. Records are meant to be broken. And, yeah, they've had certainly a slow playoff start. There's a lot of context involved, but bottom line is they've lost. They've lost those playoff games. They've also won some playoff games too, but they've lost more than they've won. And bottom line, they haven't got to the Super Bowl yet. That's it. They have not got to the Super Bowl yet. They keep getting closer. They get closer and closer. So it's time to not only get there this year, but win it. He said again, he's amazing. He is amazing in the regular season. Postseason, he just doesn't have that Lamar magic. What's been the issue? I think sometimes just overthinking. Sometimes it's overthinking. Sometimes it's been some game plan. Sometimes it's been execution. The turnovers is big. Like last year in the AFC Championship, he threw that touchdown to Zay Flowers, but Zay Flowers, he fumbled at the 1 yard. Oh, that was big. The interception that he threw in the end zone is crazy because that interception goes both ways. And what I mean when I say that, it was a bad throw. He threw it to Isaiah Likely in, I think, triple coverage. But I think he was saying that. And then when you look at the film, it looked like Isaiah Likely was over, but then I think it was a safety that came over like at the last second. But it was a bad throw, but it also should have been pass interference, and it wasn't called at all. There was no pass interference whatsoever. Then there was the hesitance with taking off with rushing lanes and whatnot. I know he said that he was hurt, like I think early on in this season. But I think right before the season started, the regular season started, I think he was talking about how he was hurt in that AFC Championship game. But it was just a lot of hesitance in that game. So, again, play his game, play your game, Lamar, do your thing, and the Ravens going to take care of business. Next question came from my guy, Amos. He said, 18, keep it clean, Ingravenvids Nation. All I want to say is what a beautiful game the Ravens played against the Texans. Congratulations on Lamar passing Michael Vick. I like how we keep feeding the king the ball. OMG, Derrick was running through all that defense. That's what I like to see. They really were. And they stuck with Derrick Henry, too. He said, the defense played tremendously fearless. Zach Orr, keep up the good work. Now let's go beat the Browns and take this Super Bowl that we should have won last year. Team, keep it clean, Ingravenvids Nation. Y'all have a nice day. What a perfect way to get our Monday started. Next question came from Twonjae. He said, hey, Ingraven, hope all is well with you. Do you think after we went out and clinched the division and Lamar plays well, that Lamar's MVP case is solidified, considering? Yes, and that's what we were talking about early on in this video. I think this is NFL. This is their last push to be like, hey, Lamar, show us what you got, even though we already know. And you know what's crazy? Like, think about this. Lamar Jackson, excuse me. I know he's a ways away from. I think he like 100. He like 100 some away from 1,000 yards rushing. He's like I think 55 away from 4,000 yards passing. And he's 1 away from 40 passing touchdowns. This dude, like, it's crazy, man. It is really crazy. And you think about it too, and it ain't no shot at them at all. But you look at Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow putting up some crazy numbers, too. And he certainly got a few more picks than Lamar Jackson does. But Joe Burrow putting up some crazy numbers. I think he getting ready to be at 5,000 yards, or over 40 touchdowns passing. Numbers are beautiful. But Lamar Jackson, he ain't got no Jamar Chase. He ain't got no T. Higgins. Now, again, it ain't no shot at Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman because they could play some ball, too, obviously. But, like, Lamar, like, this man is real deal, man. He really is. Now Joe Burrow could be like, hey, I ain't got no Mark Andrews or Isaiah Likely, buddy. So yeah, it's a case to be made. But yeah, man, it's amazing to see. It's really, really amazing to see just what Lamar Jackson is doing this year and just how he's taking it to another level, how he's taking it up. I can't even say taking it up a notch because this man took it up about 80 notches, man. He just, like, we always knew he was like that. We always knew what he was capable of, but he's really, like, killing this thing, man. He really is. Anyway, he said, do you think Lamar's MVP case will be solidified, considering that, one, Lamar's numbers are better? He said, two, besides the Bills, their division has a total of 14 wins outside of our division, where we have 20. We're obviously a better, tougher division. Oh, yeah, that division. I've been seeing a lot of people say, oh, going into this season, a lot of people thought the Bills were going to fall off. Who thought the Bills were going to fall off? Against the Dolphins, the Jets, the Patriots? Who thought the Bills were going to fall off? And I even saw somebody, people thought the Bills were going to, they could miss the playoffs and they weren't going to win the division. Who thought that in that division? The Dolphins, the Jets, and the Patriots? The Dolphins who, look, Tua, y'all know how I feel about Tua. Again, he's all right, but I just don't feel like Tua's that guy. He be hurt a lot, miss a lot of time. And then the Patriots, they rebuilding. And then the Jets, they been a mess. Who thought the Bills were not gonna win that division? Who thought the Bills were gonna fall off? No, nobody thought that in my opinion. At least if they did, they shouldn't have. But anyway, he said Lamar also faced a tougher schedule overall. I mean, yeah, that's because he got the number 1 seed last year. That's because the Baltimore Ravens got the number 1 seed last year. Excuse me. So you're gonna have a tougher opponents. He said, I feel like Allen's only argument is their record. It is. That's part of the MVP right there. He said, there's not even an argument that he's done more with less because there's a huge difference in the numbers. What's your thoughts or takes on this? Yeah, you made a lot of good points. The one about the division, that one is just like, it's glaring to me. And then I've seen people put up Josh Allen, his record against those bad opponents. And they played a lot of bad teams this year. And that's the one that he really blows them out. But But again, he did take care of business against the Chiefs and the Lions and stuff like that. And Lamar, when the Ravens play a really good team, they usually step up too. They did lose to the Chiefs week 1. They did lose to the Steelers a couple of weeks ago, but they played the Steelers again. They took care of business. He saw it happen against the Bills, against the Bengals. Yeah, saw it happen twice. And so, but against the Eagles, they did lose against the Eagles. So that did not help the MVP case at all. So record-wise, Josh Allen got it. Numbers-wise, Lamar got it. When they talk about losses and all that, they say, "Oh, Josh Allen, he lost Stephon Diggs," and did he really lose him? Because Stephon Diggs wanted to go. They ain't had no great relationship. Like, did he really lose him, or did they just get rid of him? Either way, I haven't seen anybody talking about the defense that Ravens started with for the first 10 weeks. 10 weeks. How bad that defense was for the first 10 weeks. 10 of them. Giving up big plays after big plays. And Lamar just having to play hero ball. I don't see many people talking about the Justin Tucker, how he was just bad. He was bad. The defense was bad. Justin Tucker was bad. And Lamar had to just account for so much saving. Like, okay, I'll save y'all. Put it on my back. I got y'all. And I'm sure Lamar loves the opportunity, but I'm sure he would also love for it to be a lot easier too. And for them first 10 weeks, that defense was not making it easier. For them first 10 weeks, Justin Tucker was not making it easier. Now, Lamar, he made his mistakes too. But, oh my goodness, like, those were the issues with the Baltimore Ravens. And we were all looking around at each other like, oh my goodness, who are these? We so used to Ravens having a good defense. We so used to Justin Tucker being on point. What is this? So to see what Lamar Jackson has done this season despite that, to see what Lamar Jackson has done, because there have been times when the Ravens been down by multiple scores, and they've come back multiple times in multiple games from being down multiple scores with that defense that they used to have. Oof, it was so nasty, man. It was disgusting. But Lamar Jackson, he carried this team, and look what they had the 3 seed. Started this season 0-2. 0-2. Lost to the Chiefs and lost to the Raiders. Yuck. It's like, what's going on? Remember the conversation that we were having and whatnot? It's just, this is a completely different ball game. This is a completely different team. So that's why, hey, Lamar, and then you see the numbers that he put up too. It's a mix to me. Obviously, the numbers, the record, the turnaround, the context, so much of that. Lamar should win his number 3 MVP. Next question came from my guy, Lucas. He said, hey, man, hope you and your fam are doing well. Hey, we're doing really good, Luke. I appreciate you. He said, do you think that we should put in a waiver for Calais Campbell to prevent a Suggs 2.0 from happening? For Calais Campbell, the Dolphins, they are still alive, so they have not released him. I was really thinking like, we got things lined up for him. Calais Campbell's looking good that game again, as he has been looking good throughout this season. But the Dolphins won. I was really thinking like, all right, the Dolphins going against the Browns. Tua not even playing. It's going to be Tyler Huntley. So Tyler Huntley, just don't do nothing. Just help us out. But Tyler Huntley, the Dolphins, they tried. They tried to let the Browns have it, but the Browns were like, nah, we don't want it. No thanks. Y'all Dolphins, y'all got it. So the Browns end up losing that game. The Dolphins end up winning, and Calais Campbell remains a Miami Dolphin. Now, could we put in a waiver for Calais to prevent a Suggs 2.0 from happening? The Baltimore Ravens, them putting in a waiver, that it would be not impossible to keep it from happening, but any team that has a worse record than them, they could put in a waiver, and the Baltimore Ravens putting in a waiver would mean nothing. So they can't necessarily prevent it from happening. They would just have to hope that if Calais Campbell was released, that he could clear waivers, and then he'd be free to sign with whatever team he wanted to. But there's no way for them to prevent anything from happening by putting in a waiver claim. They could only prevent him from going to the teams that have better records than him, and they're not many. So that would be that. He said, can't risk him going to the Chiefs or anyone else. Really hoping for a Broncos win right now against the Bengals. With this is tied 17-17 as of this writing, so this could happen. Well, yeah, we saw how that game went. That game was crazy too. It was a really good game. Really, really good game. That thing was crazy, man. When the Bengals kicker missed that field goal, I say, yes, come on, Bo, let's go, Bo. But they unfortunately, yeah, you know the rest of the story. But yeah, the Bengals, they could be. Let's see if they end up making the playoffs, because they right there. And if they made the playoffs, I know Bills fans got to be like, oh, please don't let these dudes in, because they have a lot of confidence to go there into Buffalo and knock the Bills. I mean, Bengals would have a lot of confidence to go anywhere. But certainly Buffalo and knock the Bills off. They would, because they would be going against all the top seeded teams remaining if they make the playoffs. So if they make the playoffs, they will be the 7th seed and they will go against the Bills. Depending on how that game went, if the Bills win, okay, Bengals will be done. But if the Bengals won, then the following week they will go against the Kansas City Chiefs. So and they done been there before. So now, if something to think about, and this is a big if, but if the Bengals made the play, that could actually help the Ravens. It really could, in a way, because if, and let me know if I'm wrong, but I believe if the Bengals were to make the playoffs, they'll be the 7th seed. And they will go against the Bills. Say, for instance, they beat the Bills. And Baltimore Ravens handled their business against whether it be the Chargers or the Steelers, whoever they played. So, no, they will play the Chargers, most likely. Well, it all depends. Anyway, say the Bengals made the playoffs and they beat the Bills and they knocked them off. So then the following week, and the Ravens took care of their business. So the following week, then the 2 seed would be eliminated. So Ravens could get another home playoff game, I believe. I'm pretty sure. Because the Chiefs, they would have a home playoff game. And then the Ravens, as a division winner, I believe they would have another one since the 2 seed would have been knocked off, I believe. And then the Bengals will play the Chiefs. And say, for instance, the Bengals, they just so happen to knock off the Chiefs. The 1 seed would be, the 2 seed would be eliminated, and the 1 seed would be eliminated. And if the Ravens still took care of business, that 3 seed would be remaining. So if the Bengals make the playoffs, and this could really happen with any 7th seed, but the Bengals especially, because the Bengals, like, they ain't afraid to go wherever. But they could knock off the number 1 and number 2 seed, and they could have the AFC Championship back at the crib again for the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, we know how it went last year, but still. So that is a possibility, and it's a possibility with any 7th seed that enters into the playoffs, or that anybody who gets a 7th seed. Now, it's more likely to happen if the Bengals get it rather than the Broncos, even though it looks like we don't want the Bengals in the playoffs. But if the Bengals do make the playoffs, it could possibly benefit the Baltimore Ravens in a way.